You open your laptop for one thing and end up refreshing 3 tabs, answering one message and staring at a document that is still blank. The day feels full anyway, that is the trick. You keep moving, so it looks like work. A reply here, a quick check there. A title typed and deleted 3 times. Your brain gets to keep saying, "I'm on it," while the actual thing you meant to do waits in the corner, like a coat you never picked up. Did the same thing last week. I sat down to finish one paragraph and somehow spent 20 minutes organizing the desktop. The file was still open. The paragraph was still not done. That is why this habit survives. It gives you the feeling of progress without the inconvenience of finishing. And the feeling is addictive. You tell yourself you work better with movement. But what you really mean is that staying with one task makes the gap between intention and effort impossible to ignore. One email feels easier than one hard sentence. One notification feels easier than one decision. So your attention starts doing little laps around the room, never stopping long enough to find out what it could actually do. That is the first problem. It is not that you are lazy. It is that your attention keeps getting invited to leave before the work has a chance to become real. A lot of people call that multitasking. It sounds impressive. It sounds modern. It sounds like the kind of thing a capable person does, while other people are still finding their place at the table. But researchers at the University of Michigan found that task switching can cost up to 40% of productive time through brief mental blocks, created by shifting between tasks. 40%. Not a dramatic collapse, just small losses that keep showing up dressed like efficiency. And that explains why the afternoon disappears. You are not doing one thing badly and another thing well. You are paying the toll every time you cross the bridge between them. The bill comes due in the tiny ways. You reread the same sentence 5 times. You open the calendar to answer one question and forget why you opened it. You walk into a meeting already behind because your mind was still carrying the last tab like a tray of drinks. The cost is not abstract. It is the missed line in the proposal. The forgotten attachment. The task that needed 10 calm minutes and got 30 scattered ones instead. So the first move is painfully plain. Put the thing you are doing in front of you and let every other thing stay out of reach. Not forever. Just long enough for one thought to finish its sentence. That sounds small until you notice how often your day gets broken by things that only take a second to start and 20 minutes to recover from. Gloria Mark at UC Irvine found that after a single interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus on the original task. 23 minutes. That is why a quick glance becomes an expensive habit. You think you are saving time by checking now? You are actually buying a delay you will pay for later. When the work comes back half-formed and you have to rebuild the thread from scratch, it feels harmless because the damage is spread out. A minute here, a minute there, but those minutes are not equal. Some minutes vanish, some minutes break the room. You know the difference when you sit back down and the sentence you were writing no longer feels like yours. The thought is still there, but the temperature is gone. So leave the phone in another room when you need to think, not as a moral gesture, as a physical fact, because the room changes when the thing that pulls you away is not within arm's reach. The embarrassing part is that most people do not even notice how often they are being interrupted by their own habits. A notification is obvious. Your own hand reaching for the screen is less obvious, and somehow more expensive. It looks voluntary, it feels harmless, it is neither. And then you start telling yourself a story about being good at handling many things at once. Watson and Strayer at the University of Utah found that only 2.4% of people are genuinely capable of multitasking effectively, and most people who believe they are good at it are not. That sentence should be uncomfortable. It is not an insult. It is a mirror, because being busy enough to feel stretched is not the same as being able to divide attention without losing it. Most of us are not special cases. We are just practiced at confusing motion with output. The cost shows up in places no one applauds. A half-written message that sounds colder than you meant. The cooking timer you forget while you are just finishing something else. The meeting where you nod at the wrong moment, because part of your mind is still opening a spreadsheet somewhere else. And the more you do it, the more ordinary it feels. That is the danger. Bad habits rarely announce themselves as bad habits. They feel like a normal day with a little more noise. The fix is not to become a monk. It is to finish the thing that is already on the table before you let another chair slide in. One chair. Because once a second task gets a seat, the room changes. The first task stops being a task and becomes a loose thought. The loose thought becomes clutter. The clutter becomes the reason you keep reopening the same tab, hoping it will feel different this time. It won't. You can see this in the simplest everyday moment. A sink full of dishes while you just answer one work message. The message takes 90 seconds. The dishes are still there. The water has gone cold. The real cost is not the reply. It is the break in the rhythm that made both jobs heavier. That is what context switching does. It makes ordinary work drag around an extra shadow, and the shadow is what you keep living with. Not the action itself, the unfinished energy around it. So do the next thing in a way that does not leave a ghost behind. Close the other tabs. Put the next idea on paper if you need to remember it. Then let the current task keep its place. until it is done enough to leave cleanly. No ceremony, just a boundary. Because the mind does not split cleanly, it leaks. You can feel that leak when you start a reply, and suddenly remember the invoice, then the groceries, then the document. You promised yourself you would open after lunch. The body is still at the desk. The attention has already started handing out apologies. That is why I'll do both so often becomes I touched both, which is not the same thing. And the strange part is that the people who are most proud of this style often live with the most invisible damage. They are the ones who look responsive while slowly losing depth. They answer fastest and finish least. They are always available, which means they are never fully there. That has a cost too, not just in output, in trust. People notice when your attention is always one step ahead of your body. They may not say it. They just stop bringing you the hard thing. They stop expecting you to remember the thread. They stop counting on a clean answer. That is a quiet demotion. You do not need to answer every ping to prove you are competent. You need one stretch of uninterrupted attention that is long enough for your brain to stop acting like a hallway. And yes, that means being less available for a little while. Good. The first hour of the day is where this usually goes wrong. You tell yourself you're easing in, but what you are really doing is teaching your attention to live in fragments before it has even had coffee. The inbox gets the first claim. The calendar gets the second. Your actual work gets whatever's left in the cracks. You wonder why the hardest thing feels impossible by noon. It is not impossible. It is just arriving after your mind has already spent itself on other people's priorities. The solution is to let one thing win the first round. Page, a file, a problem. One complete start. That is how you stop paying the switching tax before the day has even begun. Once you notice it, you see how many of your urgent moments are actually just interruptions wearing a badge, a message that can wait, a tab that can close, a thought that does not need immediate action just because it has arrived. You are allowed to leave a thought unfinished long enough to finish a task. That sounds obvious until you realize how often you have trained yourself not to. The modern version of multitasking is not glamorous. It is not some heroic orchestration of impossible demands. It is a person trying to write while half listening to a call, half checking a note, half remembering an email they meant to send. Nothing is fully broken, which is why it keeps surviving. The damage is spread thin enough to miss, but the day still goes missing. Researchers at the University of Michigan already showed the math. Gloria Mark already showed the recovery time. Watson and Strayer already showed how rare true effectiveness is. Add them together and the picture is painfully clear. Most of what feels like speed is just repeated interruption. That is why the answer is not to move faster. It is to stop splitting the work before it has a chance to gather itself. You can do that today without changing your life. Pick one task. Give it a block of time with nothing else asking for a vote. If another task shows up, write it down and let it wait. Outside the room, that is the whole move. And the reason it feels almost too simple is that the habit it replaces has been borrowing your confidence for years. Multitasking tells you that because you are touching everything, you are handling everything. It is a convincing lie. It sells itself with motion. But motion is cheap. Completion is not. You see the difference the moment you stop trying to keep every door open. A paragraph gets finished. A form gets sent. A room gets quieter. Not because your life got easier, but because your attention finally stopped being pulled apart by its own applause. And once you have that kind of quiet, you start noticing how noisy the old way really was. The repeated opening and closing. The half starts. A small constant emergency of being almost done with too many things. That emergency is fake. The backlog is real. So the next time you catch yourself with 3 things open and none of them moving, do not admire the effort. Close one, then stay with the one that remains until it has nowhere left to go. That is the part nobody wants to market. It is not exciting. It does not look clever. It is just the work. And it is usually the first time in the day your mind stops acting like a browser with too many tabs and one cold cup of coffee beside it.